Hello dear friends, my name is Sergei Shevelev, and this is the ABC of tea. In this series, I talk about the most basic aspects of tea culture, tea drinking, and tea traditions. Get comfortable, have a cup of tea. Let's begin. Today we're going to talk about green tea. It's surrounded by many myths and legends. The most widespread is that green tea is good for losing weight, that the popular Japanese matcha tea is just packed with antioxidants, and many other stories. Today, we'll delve deeply into this topic and see how to drink it and what kinds of green tea there are. Many people believe that green tea is somehow connected with dieting and losing weight, that it's extremely good for health, etc. Well, that's true. It's really good for health. Chinese people drink it for a reason. Green tea has the largest number of varieties, and it's the most popular tea in China. Moreover, freshly made tea that people talk about in China is green tea. The first flush of spring tea is valued highly in all tea-making provinces, and almost all tea manufacturers, including Shengpuer and red tea, produce green tea as well. And we need to remember that it's not the most difficult type of tea to produce. But still, it's surrounded by myths and legends of various kinds. Today, we'll be drinking Anji Bai Cha, or white tea from Anji. Anji is a place in Zhejiang province. It looks like tiny green needles. Right now, we're in the middle of winter, but fresh green tea is usually sold in the middle of April. It's picked in the Xingming season, that's in the beginning of April. It's the time when people remember their ancestors. But right now, because of the increasing number of plantations and the spread of tea-making culture to other countries, it grows in different climate zones. The production area has moved south, and in some places you can get great fresh green tea at the end of February or the beginning of March. This tea is made of the youngest tea flushes that consist of a bud and 2 leaves. Then the leaves are formed and shaped into these needles. So we get a fragrant tea with a fresh, pleasant aroma. The most widespread information about green tea is that it helps you lose weight, that it's good for dieting. Well, it's partly true, but tea is not a magic pill that will make you slim. Green tea, like all other kinds of tea, is good for metabolism. It enriches your body with microelements and vitamins. And in combination with a healthy diet and active lifestyle, it will help you lose weight and maintain balance and harmony in your body. They also say that green tea has less caffeine in it. Well, it has more caffeine than coffee, but it all depends on the volumes of consumption, and fermentation reduces the level of caffeine. Green tea is just packed with vitamins. Fermented teas, like red teas, have elements that are good for digestion and blood pressure. Green tea is good for your hair and skin. It's rich in antioxidants and vitamins. To put it simply, all teas have fortifying properties, and if consumed correctly, always have a healing effect on the body. Regarding the tonic effect, people say that pu'er is much more bracing. In some cases, green tea can be even more invigorating. For example, if it consists of small leaves, it makes a much more bracing and strong drink. due to the fact that the infusion is more concentrated. But if we compare the caffeine levels in different sorts of tea, they're similar. But the effect is individual. It varies for different people. For some people, red tea is more invigorating than green tea. We can say for sure that green tea is a basic tea. The technology is very simple. The leaf is picked, and then it's left to rest. And then it's fried, rolled, then dried. Usually, all stages of green tea processing can take from 15 minutes to a maximum of a couple of hours, and the tea is ready after that. It's considered ready to drink. In most cases, it takes 20 to 30 minutes to process the tea, and you'll be able to feel this great fresh aroma and taste. Zhai Shi. I've tasted fresh tea in different factories, and it was great. It's highly valued when it's fresh, and it loses its freshness with time. I'm drinking a tea that was made the previous year, and of course it's different. Usually, it's recommended to drink it during a year. We stop buying green tea in summer, and we wait for the next season to start. Not all green tea needs to be fresh. Some teas can be kept for a longer time. For example, teas that have a smaller leaf. In our collection, we have a tea that's called Dali Lu Cha, and it tastes great after 2 years. Usually it loses the freshness over time. It's very delicate and shouldn't be kept for a long time. Well, I've already explained the production method. Let's have a look at how it's grown. Some people think that green tea is made of a different cultivar. Well, it can be made from all types of leaves. It's not important. Only oolongs require special cultivars. They have this particular sweetness. Green tea can be made of all possible types of tea leaves. It doesn't really matter. It can be made from smaller or larger leaves, from old or young tea trees, in all tea-making provinces of China. It can be extremely different. To sum up, it's the most popular tea in China that can be made from all possible kinds of raw material. I'd like to come back and to say a couple of words about processing. Yes, the technology is relatively simple, but all the nuances are hidden in the rolling stage, when the tea leaves are formed. There exist many different varieties of tea, like Taiping Hu Kui, that is very slim and thin. It's put under pressure during the drying stage, and it takes this shape. Then there are teas that consist of buds only, or that look like needles. Some teas are made of small buds, like Longjing. Others are curled and twisted. Some are rolled. Well, there are numerous varieties, but the most popular tea in China is Mao Feng, or the hairy peaks. Sometimes, tea that is a bit twisted or rolled is called Mao Feng too. It's made in different provinces too. The most famous comes from the Huang Mountains, and is called Huangshan Mao Feng. Many other types of Mao Feng are made in Sichuan, Yunnan, Guangxi, Fujian, or Guizhou. Many of us can remember the marketing strategies from the 90s, when green tea was presented as a panacea. Now matcha plays this role. So what is it? It's a Japanese green tea powder that is whisked. This technology appeared in the time of the Tang dynasty, when this man lived. He's known as the tea saint. His name is Lu Yu. He lived more than 1,000 years ago and is the author of the legendary book, The Classic of Tea. He collected together all the knowledge about tea that existed during the Tang dynasty. But this tradition of whisking tea was preserved in Japan. This man, I guess, used to drink it back in Japan. Matcha tea is a very strong, energetic drink. It's different from the Chinese way of brewing tea. The tea is not infused and brewed in a teapot or a gaiwan. By the way, using a gaiwan is a widespread method of brewing green tea. It's good for temperature control. The temperature of the water has to be lower. Green tea usually needs about 80 degrees. Matcha is usually brewed in a big cup. This is what it looks like. And the powder is whisked with a bamboo brush until a foam appears, and then it's consumed straight from the cup. Right now, there are many new methods of making this tea. Anyway, matcha is more a tonic. You consume the leaves in the drink. You get a very powerful, strong effect, and it turns out more invigorating, and the concentration of different elements is much higher. You get a very rich and strong beverage. The good qualities of matcha are there because you consume the drink with the leaves. The effect is much stronger. We can't say that Japanese green tea is somehow very different. It's just a different technology. All green teas have a similar effect. The chemical components of the drink are the same, so there's no big difference. There are small nuances. The size of the tea leaves, the way of consumption. The processing technology also affects the tea greatly as well. The final drying, the frying, rolling method, and different cultivar types play their roles. Cultivars can have different concentrations of caffeine. Recent research showed that tea from the north has less caffeine than tea from the south. Tea from southern provinces has a more tonic effect, just like the pu'er teas. It all depends on the soil and weather conditions. And there are other factors too. I've said a lot about different brewing styles in my other videos. I've also showed you how I brew the tea right now. Green tea is a very delicate product. It needs cooler water. But some green teas can't be spoiled with boiling water. I'll share some links with you in the description. Hei Chu Hao can't be spoiled with hot water. It's a simple and very delicious tea. Speaking about more expensive teas, I can recommend Longjing, a refined and exquisite tea. Anji Bai Cha and Taiping Hu Kui from Anhui province. These are very special teas with a delicate aftertaste. I'd also like to say a couple of words about aged green teas, or Lao Lu Cha. Very often they're expensive, but I recommend trying it at least once. It's a very special product. It appeared as a mistake. Green tea that was sent to Taiwan got lost, and after a long time people found it and tasted it. It can be compared to many other aged teas that I've talked about before. I hope that this episode was interesting and useful. I can recommend buying more tea to keep. Having this tea in stock is a very good idea. Maybe you won't be able to buy any more. Teas produced later can be not as good. The first flush is always treated as a much higher grade tea. Well, don't trust the stories many people tell. Drink good tea and enjoy. See you soon. Bye.